Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hot Poll Podcast. I am your host, Adam Steele, and joining me this week is my good friend and also a blast from the past from the podcast, Mr. Christian Taylor.
Back again.
Yeah.
I only pop in once in a while now.
It's like you never left.
Exactly.
Yeah, Liam's very, very tired. He was up all night with the dogs. They're all okay now, I believe. But yeah, blah. So Chris has stepped in at the last minute. I put out the bat signal, and here he is to save the day. How are you doing?
I forgot the cowl and everything, but I'm good. Yeah. I'm very good. Yourself?
I am okay. I'm absolutely dizzy because I feel like I've spent more money than I've ever had in my life. But I got a new camera, which is on the way. I got a GH5S coming.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I also got a speed booster so we can use all our nice Canon lenses without them feeling like we've zoomed in a million times.
Is that an active adapter or
yes,
is it a passive one?
It is, yeah. It's designed to use with the GH5.
Right.
So, yeah, I'll get almost full frame out of it.
Yeah. What's the mount on the GH5?
Micro Four Third.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, converting that to, I think it's 1.2 times that it pushes in instead of double.
Yeah, okay.
That's a big, it's a big difference. Because if I put
it doesn't sound it, but I was just going to say, when you put a 50mm on, you got to see it.
And it feels like 100mm. Suddenly, instead, it feels more like a 60mm. I can live with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, between that and... I've also got a gimbal, so I'm going to be able to do weird stuff. I got a DJI Ronin.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I got the SC model, which you can put your phone on top of, and it uses it like a tracker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm really interested to play with that because that means I was thinking about doing nice B-roll shots like Henning Pauly does.
Yeah.
And I thought if I get this thing where the phone camera actually tracks the object.
Yeah.
Over the years, I've got quite good at doing the kind of smooth motion anyway.
Yeah, all from the core.
Yeah. Well, we used to do it without a gimbal, without anything. Yeah. So if I can put a gimbal in there and have a thing that tracks the object, suddenly I can do these super smooth, like move around the object pans.
Yeah.
Without having to have a slider.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought, you know what, that's an investment. So much money.
You're just hitting that add to cart constantly, and you're just seeing more and more disappear. You're going, what am I doing?
Oh, it's dizzying. Absolutely dizzying. Anyway, we'll get back to talking about this. First, this is the podcast where we talk about music tech and guitars and that kind of thing. And we'll be talking about a new update to Reactor. Blackstar have got a new switching pedal, which looks kind of cool. Joss Allen's got a new pedal. There's a new loudness maximizer that works completely different from the rest, like a mastering limiter. And the headline news, there's an analog kind of channel strip you can get, which is almost like a pedal board, that apparently can turn your SM58 into something close to a U47. This is the hot pole position. Let's roll that intro. There we go. Yes, what a week it has been. I mean, between that and I've been really, really working hard on this project that I can't tell you all about, which is really quite frustrating because it's...
Is this the one... I know about this one, don't I?
I think you do. I mean, you don't, but you do. Yeah, so... the scream at the end of the intro... Oh, yeah! I might put that back. Hello, everybody. The actual new version of the main theme, I took the singing out, and it's back to the old solo. Just on a whim, really. I wanted to re-record that bit, but my vocal booth is still full of clothing. So, yes, I'll be clearing that out in the next week or so. Getting that back to normal.
Yeah.
And then I can go and do some belting vocals.
Have you ever shown the actual vocal booth?
Yeah, a few times. Usually with like ultra wide lenses, and it's quite hard to film in. But there's going to be a camera in there for the live streams from now on. So that's good. So I'm kind of getting something like a GoPro and hooking it to the wall, kind of high up, because super fisheye lensy type thing. And if it's next to the light on the wall, then it's already got its own key light. Hey.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I thought.
I think it might be worth showing people that at some point because it's actually a really interesting design.
Yeah, absolutely. Phil did us a wonderful service designing that. Mr. Philip Wright, our chief engineer, designed us a vocal booth that's kind of... how to describe the shape of it? It's got 2 angles out the corners, so it's not perfectly straight on any side. It feels a little bigger than it actually is, but it's kind of like an isolated room within an isolated room. Oh wow, the chat's going a bit crazy today. Hello everybody.
Oh yeah.
Yes, good to see you all. Yes, I am drinking a nice big old fashioned this evening. It's the end of my Woodford Reserve, so cheers everybody.
Black coffee all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
There's only so much black coffee I can have before I go.
The stomach goes, so you go, okay.
Yeah. No, I can only have 2 a day now. Otherwise, I lie in bed and I'm just there like, the cogs keep turning 3 a.m., 4 a.m. I'm like, so yeah, I can't do it anymore. But yeah, just one cheeky old fashioned at the end of the day tends to calm my nerves down a little.
Oh, yeah. It's a reset button. It's a decompressing.
Yes, absolutely. And I actually like the kind of the faff of making these because I've had to go out of my way to get proper liquid cane sugar syrup because golden syrup, golden syrup wasn't doing it.
Was it just sitting on top of it like oil?
No, it was too thick. It was just kind of not dissolving in, not well enough anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, but it did work, just not like this works. And I've also got a new secret ingredient that I put a little bit of vanilla extract in it.
Oh, very nice.
And it just does a little thing. And it's so nice.
Smooths it, takes the edge off, I guess.
That's it, yeah. I mean, Woodford Reserve's a nice bourbon to begin with, but I have a terrible sweet tooth. But I don't want to overload it with sugar because then you feel it on your teeth.
Yeah.
And yeah, it gets a little bit like when you're drinking...
Like sandy.
Yeah, when you're drinking too much full Coca-Cola and you can feel it on your teeth. Yeah, so I didn't want to do that. But yes, the other thing that I've ended up with this week, and I will get it out of its case to show you all. Drum roll.
I can't. Okay, he's gone for longer than I thought.
There we go. This was
there we go.
In its case. Let me put these headphones back on. Ladies and gentlemen, presenting my PRS Tremonti. Look at that.
That finish is stunning.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? And look closely, it's a single piece. There's no book matching because it's not cut. It's one piece across the top. And I've never seen another guitar... Well, actually, no. I've seen one bass like this, and we own that as well between me and my dad. Yeah. This is jade green. I mean, in Dreamland, I would have loved an emerald green one, which is a little darker, but seeing as though these things do not come up, full stop, I took what I could get. Now...
Is it classed as a AAA top?
I don't know how many...
AA with these?
It's at least 3 A's. I think it's 4, maybe even 5 on the Quilt
Maple.
Maple.
It's single piece.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. But yeah, it's a USA Tremonti, and it sounds absolutely insane, and it makes you play incredibly well. And yeah, the reason I ended up with this is my dad bought it 5 or 6 years ago. Was it? Maybe a little less. And it was a really nice guitar, and I played it, and I was like, you should keep this guitar. And that was a thing at the time. my dad recently, his hands aren't working as well. He still plays a little, but he doesn't play guitar nearly as much as he did. And so he decided to sell the guitar, and I was like, no. So we did a bit of a swap and a bit of a sale, and I won't say how much money because that would be vulgar, but safe to say it was far more than, I needed to sit down afterwards. I'm not made of money, I'm certainly not rich, but my God, I needed this guitar, and I was just like, right, gotta do it. And so, again, showing you pictures off my phone. That picture, of course, on the right, that's me. On the left, that's my dad with that guitar. And in the middle, if you recognise him, that's Mr. Paul Reed Smith himself. So we've actually taken this guitar to see Paul Reed Smith and tell him, hey, what do you reckon about this guitar? And Paul Reed Smith, says, oh, that's a great guitar. I like that one. Now, if the creator of the company likes that guitar, I ain't selling it.
Yeah. No, exactly. I know between our history, you're just like your dad. Because do you remember? So Big Blue.
Oh yeah.
Was yours.
Yes.
And then you were getting rid of it. I said no, so I bought it.
Yeah.
Then I got rid of it.
Big Blue, for some context, is the first Zilla cab that I ever ordered, the Studio Pro. Yes.
Yep. And so I got rid of it after I bought it from you, and then your dad messaged saying, no, you're not.
Yeah. Funnily enough, that's ended up back at the studio, but talking to my dad earlier, I'm bringing that Zilla cab back to him tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
I've got a new Zilla cab in the studio. It's a 2x10 baritone, 2x12, baritone/bass cab.
Right.
So good.
I've seen more about this whole baritone cab. Can you explain this a little more?
Yeah, sure. So it's depending on your perspective, it's actually a bass cab. It's ported. It's quite thick wood. The speakers are Celestion speakers, but they're actually 300-watt bass speakers.
Right.
But they're voiced in such a way that they work really well for guitar, but they've got like an extra depth.
Right.
So with like big tones like dual rectifiers or with a fuzz tone, it doesn't crap out on the bottom. It just sings. Yeah,
you don't get that low distortion kind of thing when the bottoming out.
Yeah, it's just solid all the way down. Now, someone's asking...
But not classed as full range.
Oh yeah, because it goes all the way, because they're voiced, so they go up to 5K, 6K. They're not dark by any stretch of the imagination. So yeah, that's why I'm calling it a baritone cab, so you don't get the wrong idea and go, I'm never using this on guitar because it's for bass.
Alright, okay.
Yeah. Now, Al in chat has asked, did PRS sign it? Check this out. Signature from Paul Reed Smith.
Oh, in gold as well.
Yep, and I actually have a second pickguard for this, signed by Mark Tremonti.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, I know. So yeah, I'm never ever selling this. That's just ridiculous. Cool. Yeah. I need to get one of these pickguards laminated or something so that I don't rub it off while I'm playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or maybe even buy a third pickguard and just put a blank one on it so I can not be worried about rubbing the damn thing off.
Yeah, Mage, that was the correct term, crapping out.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to put this away quickly before I have a little panic. Because this room's rather small. And I just kind of touched the new mic stand with it because I got a new boom arm, by the way, which is a whole different topic. I was using a cheap Chinese thing, and it was fine, except that I could actually hear the desk through the arm because it was making all the springs on it vibrate. So I got one of the Rode boom arms, and it's great. It's not cheap. Awesome. Yeah, it's not cheap at all, but even with the same mounting position, same length of arm, it's not vibrating from the desk vibrations.
Okay.
Quality of sound. I mean, can't complain. Yeah, I'm going to put this away quickly. Won't be a second. Oh, no, yeah, it's a set neck, by the way. There's no screws. It's not a bolt-on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, check that out. What a beauty. Yeah, flame maple neck. That's just ridiculous. Signed one in a frame on the wall. No, they will stay in the case until I decide to take them out.
No, I agree with the chat. I'd put it in a frame and put them like side by side. That'd be really cool. Trying to read that.
So yeah, over the last year or so, the neck on that has just got a slight bow, which just needs an eighth of a turn maybe on the truss rod. So I'll look at that at some point. But it plays beautifully. And yes, so even my dad in chat, hello, he's saying, yeah, get a blank pickguard, which I will. I'll get a blank pickguard to fit that and swap them out because that makes logical sense.
Does that neck, before we get on, does that neck feel like the Santana?
No.
Or more akin to a Les Paul?
Neither. It's thinner than a classic Les Paul, not by much.
Okay.
But enough that it works for me.
Right.
I love this. I used to have, just backstory for everybody, I used to have a PRS Santana 3. It sang like no guitar I've ever heard before or since, but the neck was like a baseball bat. My hands aren't very big, so I would actually get cramp from playing it because my hand would be my hand was like that trying to play, whereas with something like a Strat neck, it's more like that. It was a genuine like pain to play. So yeah, the Tremonti, it's not. I don't think it's a thin neck. I think it's like a pattern medium or something like that. But yeah, it's really nice. But what I'm thinking is, Jack has got my Strat in the shop right now to put the Evertune in it. So I think, generally speaking, that's going to become my main rhythm guitar, and that's going to become the lead guitar.
Okay.
Yeah, and I cannot complain at having that as a combo. Yeah.
Brunette or set neck preference?
Makes no difference to me. It's a per guitar thing, and it affects the tone. It's like anything. It's like saying, do you prefer a drag racer or a street racer? They're different things. Both good.
Yeah.
I like the sound of a bolt-on, but I also like the sound of a through neck.
Yeah.
But I also like the sound of a set neck. The neck is only a percentage of a guitar's design.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've got neck throughs, I've got bolt-on, I've got set necks, and it doesn't really change much for me.
No.
But I don't really spend that much time at that side of the neck. No. I will tell you.
Not much time up at the dusty end.
No, and I'm hanging out on. I'm a 0-1, especially on the 8th.
Yeah,
but,
the way that I learned, because I spent a lot of time as a bass player, I don't ever really wrap my thumb round. I play with my thumb kind of in the middle of the back of the neck. So for me, having the heel doesn't really restrict me because I'm so used to having, especially on like 6-string basses and stuff, having to reach miles up. Yeah. I'm used to kind of working around limitations like that and moving my thumb where necessary. So that's not a block for me.
No.
So from what I've learned in my experiences, unlike other guitarists who get so used to a certain thing, it doesn't bother me. And I do appreciate when you play a lot night in, night out that like a more comfortable profile on a heel up there can be nice. But meh. Yeah. Could you ever put an Evertune on a Gibson SG? Probably not. SGs are too thin for an Evertune, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, there is one for Les Paul, so there is one to replace that tunematic bridge, but you've got more beef with a Les Paul compared to an SG.
Yeah, it's
also,
almost half an inch thicker.
I think the Robo tuners would kind of become obsolete. It wouldn't play nice, I don't think. But
you just
not something I've figured.
I don't know. But yes, before we go too far into general chat, let's talk about the news. The news. Okay, so let's start with something that might interest you. You used to use Reactor a lot, didn't you?
I still do, actually. There's some really interesting stuff. Native Instruments have their own kind of cloud, I guess. where people upload their own reactor instruments, and you can make your own in there as well. And there is some amazing stuff. I like a lot of the like dirty kind of bit crushers and stuff like that.
Right.
To really add some grit.
Yeah, cool. Well, there's this new thing in Reactor 6.3 called user blocks, which is kind of like modular synth patch blocks. But for whatever reason, you couldn't add user blocks into there, which seems a bit silly. It's like, hey, here's a thing that you can do, but you can't use your own. So
it was a bit counterintuitive because you had this big community that was building things, but you couldn't build into this, which it just didn't seem to make sense at the time. But this changes the game massively. Yeah,
it means that people can make basically like Euro rack style units that only expose a few controls, and you can just drop them in, like you were saying, from the online sharing system, which is very cool. And that's out now, and I believe that's a free upgrade because it's from 6.3 to 6.4, which won't be a paid thing. So if you're a Reactor user, make sure you go and grab that, because new synthy things will be available to you without you having to do the old Reactor block on block on block on block style. Which, ironically, this is called block.
You get that Euro rack. This is your instruments that you're making, even like more so now. Like Reactor, you can make your own kind of stuff, and I've tried. I'm not great at it, but this, with a community behind it, some of the stuff you can come out with is just going to be so unique.
Yes. Well, unique is good.
Yeah.
I mean, we want people to not be using the same damn synths every time. Because there's so many like EDM producers where you hear it and they press a note and it goes.
Yeah, exactly. They're just cycling through presets.
Yeah.
Hitting C3 and seeing what preset sounds cool.
Which I am very much guilty of, but then I'm not an EDM guy.
I can't say anything.
Yeah. But then generally being a mix engineer, I'll find something like that to fit in a mix rather than it being the feature of the track. Yeah. If I was more of an electronic producer, I certainly wouldn't be taking that angle.
See, mine's similar, but with Reactor involved. So I will find something in Massive, Absinthe, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I will send that signal to Reactor.
All right.
And then throw my custom bit crushers on and stuff like that. So it is, and then I would just, destroy it, to be perfectly honest.
Hey, whatever works for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Right, moving on. Harley Benton have their DC Junior, which is a lot like the Les Paul Junior, of course. This is the Fat LTD. This is in Ferris Blue. You know Andy Ferris?
The name rings a bell, but I cannot tell you the place.
They call him the Guitar Geek. He was and kind of is Toman's guitar demo guy. He's really tall. He's got black curly hair.
Oh, I know who you mean now. Yeah.
He's let his hair grow out, and it looks a bit like kind of a microphone cover. Got glasses a bit like mine. Very nice, well-spoken English chap. And Toman have made a version of their DC Junior in Ferris Blue, which is probably related to Andy, who released a video about this very guitar this week. So that can't be a coincidence.
No.
I mean, we're seeing signature something from everybody recently. I know that Henning Pauly has his own signature. Last week we talked about Jared Dines' new signature Music Man.
And this isn't the first time Harley Benton have been in on the game. They did one. It was a limited run for, is it Agu Fish?
Oh yeah,
who's a YouTuber, and it was a purple finished Les Paul kind of shape.
Right.
Single cut.
Yeah. I'll have to talk to the guys at Toman about maybe doing some sort of signature jazz bass.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now this pickup is quite interesting because in that first picture, I thought it was going to be a dog ear pickup.
Yeah, me too. But no, it looks like it's more of a humbucker sized P90, which would make it infinitely more swap-outable.
Yeah.
Which means that you could £226 for this. That's incredible. So you could get this. You could pay almost as much for a pickup.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll probably pay more for your replacement pickup. Let's be perfectly honest.
Yeah. But I mean, it depends what you're after, because if you want that kind of Green Day sound, just get this as is and just hit it really hard.
Yeah.
And you'll just get the Green Day sound.
Exactly.
Yeah, apparently it's got a fat 59 neck profile, so it might be a bit much for me. Because like I was saying earlier, my tiny little sausage fingers would probably get crampy playing that for a serious amount of time. But if you've got large hands, or if you are someone who just prefers a thicker guitar neck, check this out. For that kind of money, you can't really go wrong. And I know that they have actually a really good quality control at Thomann, because it's Thomann's own brand.
Yeah.
They take every guitar out of the case, give it a once-over, give it a check before it gets shipped, which is incredible for that money.
A lot of their basses are really good price, and they're built like tanks.
Yeah.
Like, the 6-string progressive bass is so high quality for the price you're paying.
Yeah. Well, I definitely want to talk to Thomann guys at some point, because like I could do demo videos and stuff like 6-string basses, where I would imagine that's Andy Ferris, by the way. I would imagine that's not really Andy's thing.
Well,
I mean, I can't say I've ever seen him playing an extended range bass.
No.
He's a great guitar player. But we all have our specialties, right? I'm very much an average guitar player at best, and bass is my thing.
Your cost is average, really?
Oh, when there's people out there like Jared Dines and Stevie T and all those kind of guys, when you put it in perspective,
are you talking in terms of YouTubers?
Yeah.
YouTubers, yes, you are average.
I mean, when you factor in everybody who either doesn't play guitar or plays in the bedroom, maybe a little, statistically that, but...
Yeah. Can we pull up your video where you play every Dream Theater instrument?
Oh, God, that's so embarrassingly old now. I'm going to go back and redo that, because now I have guitars that work. I now have a Mesa Road King. Oh, my God. Like, I can do that guitar tone now, if not actually do a Petrucci solo. So, yes.
I'm surprised you haven't had a Music Man.
Not a big fan of Music Man's.
Really?
The necks on Music Man's don't do it for me. Again, it's the fat neck thing. Yeah, I mean, they're not bad. They're great guitars, but it just doesn't work for me. Once I learned on a Strat, I then moved to things like Jacksons and Ibanez's and really thin necks.
Fast necks.
Yeah, thin, fast necks work for my hand profile, even if the actual like Floyd Rosey, super thin, super Strat widdly thing wasn't really me. The feel on those necks is what I learned on. So, yeah. Music Man's feel a bit weird to me. The tones are incredible.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'm more of like a PRS man, obviously. So, yes. But if Music Man turned up at my door and said, "Hey, do you want to play this guitar?" I'd probably be like, "Yes, please."
Yeah, do you want this cutlass? Yeah, go on then.
Yeah. Oh, Ace Man in chat says his trusty old dual rectifier blew a tube and quit working last night. I've been on a gig with a guitarist whose regular amp was a dual rectifier, and it just wouldn't turn on when I played a wedding with him one time. And luckily he'd brought a Tube Screamer pedal, and we put him through a virtual amp through the mixer.
Wow.
I don't think the bride and groom noticed.
No, they're not. But at least you could do that.
Yeah. Those Behringer XRs, man, they're a Swiss Army knife. They've got everything in them. They may not be the best at anything, but they've got something for every occasion. Yeah, we literally plugged him into like input 15 or 16 or whatever it was, and it's got these custom effects, and we changed it to the amp model.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then just kind of put medium-ish drive on it, and then, well, he had a Tube Screamer and a wah. Let's go. Let's play the wedding. Yeah. It worked. Did it sound great? I will never know. but we got through the gig.
How do you make an SM58 sound like a U47? We'll get to that.
All in good time. That is one of our news articles. So let's start working our way towards it.
Yeah.
Blackstar's Live Logic pedal integrates your guitar with a DAW and MIDI with ease. This strikes me as interesting. Now, this is some kind of a switcher, custom USB MIDI control. So, yeah, this struck me as really interesting. At first, I thought this was just a typical switching pedal, and it does have 2 external expression pedal inputs. But
it does look like every other switch.
Yeah, but if you look at it closely, there's no outputs or inputs for looping. It's very much a control pedal for guitarists that record into their computer. Which is a weird product for Blackstar, I think.
Yeah, it's not the company I would put it down to come out with something like this. I would look at maybe your Line 6, your Behringers, your more tech companies.
Yeah.
So
it's really interesting. It's got MIDI in and out, so you could have like Strymons and pedals like that are MIDI triggered and trigger them with it. But at the same time, and because it controls the DAW, you could have, I don't know, things like Strymon pedals and anything that's MIDI changeable. Things like the Boss DD range, like the DD200 and all the other 200 pedals have all got MIDI in and out. So you could have them live switch by MIDI off something like Ableton.
Yeah.
And then actually have manual control as well when you want it. So you could have some virtual guitar amp, like, I don't know, one of the Dark Glass neural amps and change channels using this, but also change the settings on your MIDI equipped pedals at the same time. So if that's your way of thinking, this is actually a very clever product, I think.
Yeah. I think a lot of this is going to be the execution of the user getting the most out of this.
Yeah, this isn't going to be a simple thing.
No, it's not going to be a get out of the box, okay, this has changed my world. This is get out of the box, learn it, and utilize it.
Yeah. This is going to be one of those things where I think a lot of guitarists are going to get one of these, not quite get what it is, and end up selling it fairly quickly like, I don't like this, I don't get it.
Yeah, absolutely.
This isn't what I thought it would be.
Yeah.
But for those people who do use it to its full potential, you're gonna get so much out of this. I mean, it's got 2 expression inputs, so you could have like a volume sweller that's like post delay or pre delay or whatever inside your amp sim. You could have a wah controller on another pedal, so you can have virtual wah, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Which I've actually done a few times. I've used the wahs in Amplitube.
Then just automated it?
Either automate it or just have MIDI control.
Yeah. Oh, that FCB.
Yeah, I used to do it with the Behringer footboard controller, yeah. Which was way less elegant a solution than this. It was about the size of a breeze block.
Yeah.
But it did the thing, and the programming on that was completely unintuitive. There was no software for it. There was no... Yeah. Doing something like this on USB and doing it this way. Yeah. Oh, Mazzy says, yeah, Helix does it all. Yeah, but what if you don't want to go the Helix route? Smarty pants.
Yeah, exactly. Like, hardware doing like your Axe effects, your Helix, your stuff like that, I've kind of fallen out of favor with. I mean, I came from using the Line 6 X3 for a good few years.
Oh, yeah, you did, yeah.
But to be honest, I was taking my MacBook anyway for backing tracks. So why not just use for VST, such as Neural, any of the Neural stuff. And I probably will do that future if I ever play live.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. This can be run off batteries as well. So if you're not running it on USB, you can have MIDI output on it.
That's cool.
Yeah, and of course, MIDI, you could change things like lighting rigs and samplers and all sorts of wonderful stuff. So, yeah, you could use this to automate your entire show if you really want to dig that deep. So, yeah, if you are looking at digging that deep, I mean, obviously nobody's playing live shows right now, so the sales of this are not going to take off yet.
Yeah.
But when they do, yeah, grab one. So, yet another overdrive booster pedal, but this time it's from our favourite Cockney widdly guitarist, Joss Allen. So, yeah, I first saw Joss Allen on the Andertons channel, but now he's off doing his own thing. And yeah, there's a company, Polish company called Sitek, have made his pedal, the Freya. I've not heard of these, have you?
No, I can't say I know these guys.
Yeah. Well, yes. It's got level tone drive, separate boost. I don't know what this switch does. Let's see if I can find out. Might be mid push. Oh, 3 clipping voices. So bluesy breakup, open and focus boost to push the front of an already dirty amp channel, cheap screamer, and a mid-rich lead tone. Well, that's fairly versatile. That's good. Oh, you can change it so it's boost or drive first with a switchable separate boost. That's good.
Okay. So it is actually doing something a little different.
Yeah. I mean, I have seen the Keeley Effects D&M drive does a lot of this. But let's see what the price is. Yeah, it does it for a bit more money, I think. This is 190 quid, so that's not cheap.
It's not. No, it's not the cheapest, really.
But features like switching the boost and drive on a switch rather than having to pull them off your board and
yeah. I don't know. It is, but I know what I'll do. I'll set it up in the one way and never touch it again.
Yeah. Well, this is definitely a gigging guitarist's pedal.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, if you have it boost first, then when you kick the boost in, you'll get more distortion. But if you have it drive first, when you kick the boost in, it'll jump the volume up, which could be really useful for a soloist. If you're playing in the kind of band where you need to be sat back in the mix a bit and then jump out, always a good option to have, having a boost at the end to just jump you out of the mix without necessarily going into full-on screaming gain.
Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah. Check that out. Joss's pedal. Moving on. Here's one that struck me as interesting. The URSA DSP Boost. So this is like a maximizer, something like K-Clip or Slate FGS or Ozone's maximizer. Yeah. But they've done it differently. The algorithm, apparently, instead of kind of limiting the output and smushing it down, it does it a different way. It uses upward maximizing. Whatever that means, I don't quite know what that means.
So, right, okay. I'm trying to picture it in my head now. So, is this kind of going... So, L2 kind of work downwards.
Yes.
Like, crush it. And then... But FGX is makeup gain. So, is an up boost kind of that way around?
I think FGX and L2 don't work that differently from each other, where the idea is you squash the volume down, then you bring the overall up. I think the idea with this is to push certain elements louder up to the top, but only like if you ever used a transient designer that makes hits and stuff louder.
Yeah.
Imagine putting a limiter after that and having the two together. So, yeah, I think it's like that. So it's selective about what it makes louder rather than just make the whole thing louder.
Yeah.
So it's a different approach to the same problem. So, yeah, I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work, but I might get in contact with them. It is 40 quid.
Yeah. mean, I think for the way you would probably use it for the transient enhanced is in drums mainly. Like,
Well, it looks like the kind of thing that you would use on the Master.
oh, okay.
Because I mean, the thing for me is I use limiters on my Master less and less these days, but that's not because I don't like it. That's because my mixes, as time has gone by, have become more kind of rounded and fat and thick and even, rather than some mixing engineers who make a really punchy transient mix, which then has to be squashed down a bit. Each separate element in my mix is generally fairly well controlled, so if you look at an unmastered wave file of mine, it's generally quite kind of thick and kind of fat and loud as it is, so there's not that much limiting I need to do. So this might be the kind of thing that works for me, where it brings more punch back rather than erasing what little punch and hit and transient there is left. So yeah, it could be interesting. Yeah, apparently we're hearing a lot of mic rustling from you. I think it's because he has a beard.
Yeah, beard mixed with Apple headphones. Probably not the best combo. Let me just
you have a beard tambourine.
Yeah, essentially. I'm trying to pull it away from wherever my head. Yeah.
Should start kind of tying it up Viking style.
You know what? I probably could. I might ask Nick to come down and plait it while we're here.
Maybe after the stream.
Yeah. That's a separate stream.
Yeah. So let's move on. This struck me as interesting. There's a lot of this at the moment. Singular Audio's F48 is an affordable yet hand-built FET condenser microphone. So it's probably going to sound like a U47 solid state, a U47 FET. But apparently it's not a clone, despite the fact that it has the K47 capsule that the U47 FET also has.
But not a clone. Not a direct clone.
Not a clone. Well, yeah, if it's got a rough similarity, that's no bad thing. I mean, it's a great sounding mic. It's very thick and very fat.
Yeah, exactly. We can't say anything negative to this and yet praise Harley Benton for what they're doing. So.
Yeah, of course. So you can see the insides. It's fairly well designed. I'm not seeing any surface mount components, so it's big, thick, fat components. So how much do you reckon this would cost for a handmade U47 FET?
I mean...
Ballpark.
I'll go 120.
Okay, that's a bit cheap.
Well, okay. Again, I'm in the Harley Benton mindset still. Sorry.
No. These ones are all handmade.
Yeah.
But yeah, the price is about 450 quid.
Yeah,
for the first run.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, considering
I think that's fair.
Most of the U47 FET clones, you're looking closer to 1,000 for that kind of price.
Yeah, exactly. And for the real deal 47 FET this is still fantastic pricing in comparison.
Yeah, someone in chat saying the U47 is the best ever made. I don't know about that. I know a lot of people like it. That's what I'll say about that. It certainly has a mythos around it because they're expensive, old, and rare. I don't know if that makes it the best, but it is good because it was always designed to be good from the off. Yeah. So I certainly won't say it's not. But
it's got a good case for itself.
Yes.
But
yeah, the industry as a whole has changed massively.
Yeah. It's the microphone equivalent of a gold top Les Paul.
Yeah. Yeah, again, mythos built up around it, yeah. Not to say that they are bad, and you will find the odd one that is great, but they're so inconsistent.
Yeah.
Thing, yeah. But anyway, talking of U47s, our headline article this week, the Gold Channel Analog Live Vocal Channel, a U47 sound on your SM58. That's the headline. So the legendary audio Gold Channel, boutique style all analog channel strip vocal processor that's got like foot switchable stuff. Let's see what that is. That's just effect control.
Okay.
So apparently you can make your SM58 sound just like Buddy Holly's own Neumann U47. I'm not sure entirely how. That's a bold marketing claim.
Yeah.
It's marketing guff, but...
Yeah, I kind of feel it is that. Like, I mean, it's probably designed to optimize whatever a 58 is doing. Grand, but...
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't stick an SM58 through one of these anyway.
No. Well, that's kind of where I was going to go with this. I mean, I don't even have a 58. So
no. And I only have one because I paid £5 for it from a local flea market.
Doing them a favour, get rid of it.
Yeah, but apparently these things are really, really good live, and they are yours for the low, low price of $4,395. Yeah, Christ on a bike. And I'll bet you would plug this in at a live show, and the front of house guy would go, yeah, kind of sounds nice. And then he'd go to work doing his own EQ and compression stuff afterwards, because they have to control the balance of the mix.
Yeah, the comments have just pretty much got to say what my next course is. If you're spending that kind of money on a 47 emulator, why the hell are you using a 58?
Oh, well, yeah. Again, mythos. People cling to the SM58 because apparently it's great because everybody uses it.
No.
And like the U47 was great because in 1947 everybody used it.
Yeah.
Again, not saying it's bad, but arguably better designs have come along since.
Yeah. If you're dropping $4,000 on something like this, just get a decent mic if you're that. Really?
Yeah. I mean, I would probably use...
This is for live situation.
Yeah.
This isn't for, like, in your studio.
No. I'm trying to think of the mic that I would use to go with this. I think it would be is it Neumann KMS 150, I think it is? The handheld vocal Neumann condenser.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of mic that I would be using with this. Because those are £500-600 mics to begin with. And you're not getting much better quality than that is ideally suited to a live environment.
No, exactly. And that's where we're at. They can do all the situational in in a studio and go, okay, this sounds like a U47 through an SM58 because we tested it in this studio. You put that on a 2-month tour and see where you're at then.
Yeah.
Because I can't understand this idea of you spending $4,000 on this to use a 58. I just cannot get that in my head.
I mean, that is definitely the marketing thing. I don't like you say, I don't think anyone using this would be using a 58. You would at least be a bit more discerning about your choice of live microphone.
I'd hope anyway.
KMS 105, thank you, Ace Man. That's the mic I was talking about, the Neumann that I would use. First time I ever saw one of those used live was live with Jules Holland, and it was Adele. Back when she was she was 17 at the time, and she was playing an acoustic guitar and singing, so it was obviously live. You couldn't fake it, you couldn't mime it, and it sounded like a studio recording.
Yeah.
And I was just sat there going, this is live? Wow. I mean, obviously they were at a BBC studio, so they had all the best gear, but even so, usually with a dynamic mic, I can hear a slightly rolled off top end, a slightly forward mid-range. You know, the kind of things you would expect, especially live with a dynamic mic. And yeah, it was surprising. So yeah, I would definitely be using one of them with one of these. Hell, I wouldn't get one of these at all. But
no,
not even if I had all the money in the world.
No, I just no.
But this looks to me, I think this is the guys. It's Billy Stull, whoever that is. But yeah, I mean, it's the kind of plug-in plug-in hardware unit that it's for somebody. It's definitely for somebody. And whoever it's for, I'm sure they'll get a great sound with it.
Yeah, all the power to them.
Yeah. So yeah, good luck. So, moving on. Arturia celebrate their 20-year anniversary. And Jesus, wow. I didn't realise they'd been going that long. But then thinking about it, I was using the Arturia Mini Moog V at university 12 years ago.
Oh, God.
Oh, no. 16 years ago.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 2004.
Right.
Yeah, so 16 years ago, I was already using Arturia stuff just by happenstance. So yeah, they really have been going on that long. And my review of the Arturia V Collection will be coming rather soon. It's another one of those that's been in the pipeline a bit too long. But I'm going to be getting all these lovely videos out. But this is a hard copy box that's going to be coming out, which is the Sound Explorers Collection to celebrate their 20th anniversary. It comes out on a 250 gig external hard drive, so it's basically their answer to Native Instruments Complete.
Yeah.
And it's got the whole V Collection 7, which is amazing, and I absolutely am going to be doing a video. And it's got their effects collection, which has got their plate and digital reverbs, preamps, all their lovely kind of almost rivaling Slate stuff now.
Yeah.
And it's also got the Pigments software synth in there, and 40 different preset packs as well in there, which aren't included generally with the V Collection, so there's lots coming out. Not seeing a price anywhere.
I was just going to ask, is this a one-time purchase, or are we going the native kind of subscription?
Let's see. Find a dealer. Oh, geez. I don't want to be diving into that on stream, but...
Lord.
Yeah, let's not. But yeah, I don't think this is going to be a permanent offering, because it'll make more sense for them being known as a software company.
Yeah.
Even though they do really good hardware. Like, I have my my Beat Step down here, which I'm going to be passing on to Liam, actually. Liam's going to be making a lot of interesting noises with this. He does a lot of meetings and Zoom calls and stuff like that for what he does. And so he's going to be using this to trigger everything. So that's going to be really interesting.
That's an interesting use.
Yeah, he's using it as a MIDI controller for stuff like OSC and Voice Meter and Zoom and OBS. And yeah, controlling. He's got a Stream Deck already, and apparently that's not enough.
Right.
And yeah, when Liam does something, he does it right. So.
Oh yeah, it goes big.
Yeah. I've not been using it much because I'm not really doing the electronic thing recently, so he's going to make use of it. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah, so look out for this and the price.
Yeah.
And finally, I thought this was really interesting. Hide audio content in your audio files with the encoder/decoder apps. I thought this was really, really like almost an Aphex Twin-y kind of thing, where you can start to embed other stuff in your audio. And so, yeah. I thought this was really cool, where like right at the top frequency range, that kind of thing, you can start adding extra data in there.
Right. Does this go back to the Nine Inch Nails kind of hidden messages?
Yeah.
Mick Gordon did it with the Doom soundtrack a lot.
Thought you might mention Mick Gordon.
Well, I had to.
Yeah.
But I've tried similar, uploading like JPEGs into biggest image lines Harmor. You can upload JPEGs and PNGs into that.
Yeah.
And it'll encode it into the sound. So
yeah, so this is kind of like that, but instead of embedding an image, you embed a second audio file. So this is really cool for stuff like that. So people will now be getting hold of this and relentlessly decoding everything they can to see if there's anything interesting.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
is this the new playing a record backwards?
Yeah, I guess so. People will be looking, decoding, and finding some sort of garbage file. So the Decoder app is free. So you can you can get the decoder and just start looking for stuff. The encoder is €15, so it's not breaking the bank either.
No.
But that's interesting that the actual system it's not got a gatekeeper on it. So if you want to start adding cool stuff into your audio, you're not paying much. But if you're just a fan that wants to try and find out stuff, you're not having to pay just to find the Easter egg.
Satan approved. Absolutely.
Satan approved. Satan. Satan says, buy a PRS. It's like, huh? What? What?
Ooh. Again, wine bought to me.
Oh.
What are we on?
Rosé.
A rosé.
Yeah, wine. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
Nick looks at the bottle and goes, I believe it's pink.
He's just said, Nick looks at the bottle, I believe it's pink. Which one is it?
Barefoot.
Barefoot.
Nice.
It is a
Is it the pink Moscato?
Moscato, yeah.
I'm probably butchering that.
Well, as long as you're drinking it as well. What's the point of embedding random data in the audio? Point? You're asking for a point? There's never a point. What was the point of people embedding images in audio? It's because it's cool. It's because it's hipster. It's because no one else is doing it. It's because it's
for people to find things in.
Added value.
Easter eggs.
Yeah. And
because you can.
Yeah, because why not? Exactly. I mean, why do we make music at all? It's very much why not, you know. Yes. Yeah. So, Aceman says he'd pour a shot to join us, but it's only 3 p.m. Well, you know, it's 9 p.m. here, so cheers.
Is it? Oh, it is.
Yeah. Mm. But yeah, that is the end of the news. So let's flick back to the main camera. So yeah, any questions from the audience? I'm sure there will be many. There always are.
I'm usually in the comments, so
yes,
I have to wait.
It's usually you asking the questions.
No, Nick asks.
She asks the questions for you. Yeah.
No.
Oh man.
I have been asked a few times to ask you something to try and catch you off your toes.
Yeah. Has it worked yet? I don't know.
No, I think the one she asked me for was the dithering one ages ago.
Oh God, yeah. Dithering's what you do when you can't quite think of the right answer.
There we go.
Didn't.
Oh, she's just jumped in. What's the Loudness War?
What's the Loudness War? Right, that's a good one. So the Loudness War is arguably over at this point. So let's rewind to the mid-80s, and I'll give you the Loudness War in a nutshell. In the mid-80s, you could get music on a vinyl record or on cassette, and that was your lot. And if you tried to make the volume of the music louder on a vinyl or on a cassette, there's only so loud you could go before it would distort. So that kind of self-regulated, you couldn't get much louder, so people kind of didn't. Although some bands tried to push, because apparently louder is better. If you play 2 or 3 songs back to back on the radio and one's louder, it jumps out the speakers at you. People in the car or whatever take notice. They go out and buy your album. That was the idea. And then CDs came along. And at first with CDs, the engineers didn't quite know how to handle it. So early CDs are quite quiet, because with CDs, there is a set limit you can't go beyond. If you go beyond that, it sounds absolutely disgusting. So as the 90s rolled around, the whole louder is better thing reared its ugly head. And it got to a point where they were finding ways to crush the audio up a bit more without hitting that limit, so that if that's the ultimate limit that a CD can't go past, they would put a limiter that went up to like here, like 99.9%, and then slam the volume up to that. And it, you know, louder albums did sell. Oasis's What's the Story Morning Glory is a great example. In its day, it was loud as hell.
Yeah.
And on the radio, it was loud and everyone went and bought it. Then things got louder and louder and louder, and more sophisticated systems became available to make things really smushed up against that limit. And it got to the point in the mid-2000s where CDs were starting to sound absolutely horrible because everybody was in a race to make the loudest possible thing. And it just, if you go beyond a certain point of trying to crush things up to be too loud, it starts to distort like hell anyway and starts to sound awful. And so a lot of good albums really suffered in the late 2000s, early 2010s.
I would say Metallica's Death Magnetic is
Perfect
a big one that
example, yeah.
stands out.
Absolutely slammed to death and sounded pretty crap in a lot of ways because of it. So yeah, that's the thing with the Loudness War, and then it was getting silly, and then Spotify comes along, iTunes and YouTube, and they all, I wouldn't say they sit down and have a meeting, but they generally kind of mumble amongst themselves that they need to kind of do something about it.
Yeah.
Because some tracks are really loud and some tracks aren't as loud, but they actually sound better. A lot of this is arguable. But they all, independently of other, decided, okay, if a song comes in above a certain rate that we set, so it's louder than that, we're just going to pull it down so that it goes down to this level. Whereas if you make a song that's not smushed to hell and comes in at our level, it's going to sound really great because it's not smushed to hell. And so each one of them, they've not quite agreed on a standard yet, but we're a few years into this, and it's got to the point where a lot of artists are starting to click on and not slam the absolute living daylights out of it. Because the other thing is, most artists now aren't really selling CDs. So the entire point of this has gone out the window because people aren't putting a CD in the car anymore. They might plug their phone in on Bluetooth, and the phone's got Spotify or whatever, and that automatically does this thing. So, yeah, the Loudness Wars are arguably over. But the Loudness War was that race to get louder is better and sacrificing a lot of what was good about your stuff to try and compete. Yeah.
I think where we came out of this in the Loudness War is, like you said, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, you have a general consensus of where you should be aiming. So, to an extent, I do think it's important from a business perspective for clients to hear it at arguably the best before it gets silly. Because otherwise, you wouldn't bother with limiters or anything like that because you go, well, that's how it is. And I think certain clients, because they don't look at, oh, well, the Loudness War was this, that, and the other. They look at that end product. So you could, you could send them something that sounds perfect, absolute perfect mix.
Yeah.
But they might go, it's a bit quiet. So, and you've got to keep up with what these other guys are putting out,
Yeah. Well, because that's where I think, especially at the top level, it is still good to have a separate mix engineer and mastering engineer. Because a mix engineer, actually, a lot of the time, they will still put a limiter on there to crush the volume up a bit to send to the artist, because that's what the artist expects because of the last 15, 20 years of all that. But when that's sent to the mastering engineer, they'll take that back off.
Oh, absolutely.
They'll take the limiter off before they send that separately to the mastering engineer, have a conversation with the mastering engineer and say, hey, I've sent this with a limiter on to the artist, but here's the proper version.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah, exactly. Someone in the comments, Al, there's a guy on YouTube that says Spotify should be your final limiter. True or false? Not your final limiter. I would say potentially your final goal.
Yeah, I think that's a misunderstanding of sorts. There is no true or false around anything like this. It's very much open to interpretation. There are certain genres where that distortion that you get from absolutely slamming the living daylights out of it is now part of the sound. EDM's a really good example of that. Like, when I first heard Skrillex, when that stuff came out, it sounds great, even though it's been absolutely slammed, because that's not been sent off to a mastering engineer. That's been mixed in that context so that that's part of that sound. And in that context, it works. But with anything that's got more natural instrumentation, like a rock band or anything pop or whatever, if you're supposed to be able to hear detail in like vocal or drums or whatever it is, you start to hear obvious compromises. And yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Oh yeah, the Spotify should be your final limiter. I can see myself agreeing in principle, because Spotify is one of the most popular destination formats right now. And so using that as my bar and their requirement for, I think it's minus 14 LUFS, which isn't that heavily limited. Basically not backing the limiting down because of that, but trying to get the mix and therefore the master to sound its best at that volume level is the thing for me. Because if that slight distortion and slight grit is part of a sound you were going for, you can do that without heavily smushing the volume if you know how to do it and you know that that's the end goal. You can then do like more distortion on separate channels, more saturation, more of that kind of thing, knowing that because it's not going to a mastering engineer who's going to crush it to death, it's not going to negatively affect it. Because that's the thing, if I was sending something to a mastering engineer knowing they were going to absolutely crush the life out of it, I would try and make sure each track was as clean as possible, and like the drums had loads of punch, like cartoon characteristic punch and that kind of thing, because I know all that detail would go. Whereas if it's not going to that and it's going to have a fairer representation, I don't want the mix to be a caricature of itself, because that's the way it will stay permanently.
Yeah, exactly.
And it becomes a real tightrope. But that's where knowing ahead of time who the mastering engineer is and trying to talk to them ahead of time can really help you.
Yeah.
Yes. So, Aceman sends things at minus 9 LUFS to Spotify and they all turn it down a bit. But it's all relative, like I say. If it sounds better to you, if it's been limited a bit more, then it sounds better. Better is very subjective. But,
exactly. For what we're saying, if they're aiming for minus 14 or whatever it is, then fine. But if you're happy with your mix being at minus 9 and that the only compromise is they turn it down a bit, but you're still happy with that end sound, carry on.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, because it sounds to me in that situation like that amount of limiting distortion and that kind of thing is part of the sound and has become incorporated as part of the sound, in which case, if that's how it was meant to be and it sounds right like that, because to a point as well, it's arguable both ways, because over the last 15 or 20 years, the listener has gotten used to some amount of that crunchy, distortion-y thing. If that's more pleasing to the ear, stick with it. Yeah, just be aware not to go too far. But how much is too far is a very personal thing.
Yeah, exactly. I think, Ace, from my perspective, you've tested the water, and you're still happy with it being -9. So don't change it. And if you went to -4 or 5, I'm just picking numbers out, and it doesn't sound right, you know where it's gone wrong.
Yes. That's it. It's I think education is always best in these situations because there's never any right answer, but knowing what you are walking into means that you have the option rather than walking in blindly and only going towards the wrong answer.
Yeah, exactly. At least he knows where, if something did go wrong, he knows where it is, because there's probably a lot of people that send stuff and go, what the hell's happened? I have no idea. So knowing that and knowing what works for him is probably a great place to be.
Yes. Any more questions? Any more for any more? Let's have a look. Oh, Aceman said, did I get my studio remodeling, rearranging done yet? Almost. It's going slowly because I've had other projects on, which I keep saying, the big one I can't talk about yet, and I will. Got to wait for the release date for X company's thing. Not to give anything away, but when X company releases thing, I'll be able to talk all about it, tell you everything I've been doing. Situations like this are always quite frustrating because I want to tell you all about X thing and what I've been doing with said thing. But I'm just like, and it also means that the video amount of content on the channel has taken a severe dip because I am busy with X thing. But it'll be worth it very soon. Very soon. It'll be worth all the radio quiet and all the not doing as many streams as I would like and as many videos as I would like, because the videos, NDAs are a pain in the backside, once this project is done, I do have quite a few videos that I've filmed, or at least half filmed, scripted, and when the project is out there, videos from me will be bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
Because they're all waiting for me to be available to finish those edits. And so, it's not that I've not been doing anything. It's that the pipeline's getting backed up.
It's nature of the beast, isn't it? And
I mean, now that I'm going more full-time with YouTube, you would have thought that I would be much more consistent. And I certainly will be more consistent, because I have a plan, but this big project, X project, I keep saying X project, this big project was not expected and has been kind of dropped in. And so my entire timetable has gone, right, well then, okay.
It's a matter of the timing, because, going full-time with it, it was like, this is it, this is what it'll be. And then this has landed, and you kind of go, oh, okay.
Yeah. But it was the kind of project where I couldn't say no.
No, of course not. You couldn't say no to that.
Yeah. But there's so many projects that I've always been guilty of being kind of a yes man. That if someone says, hey, I've got this thing, do you want to do this thing? I always kind of go, that sounds cool. I want to do that. And then go, oh, how am I going to fit that in with everything else and breathing? Oh. No.
That's when we work together, we would kind of accept it and then go and figure out that bit afterwards.
Yeah, that's it.
It's great to see that you're still like that.
Oh, God, yeah.
Of course I can.
I never ever put that on. That's me in a nutshell. Yeah. So, but also with the massive success of the Ultimate Reaper course, shameless plug, if you are looking for a proper full-fledged Reaper course that goes into nth detail, that is available. And there is a link which I will drop in the chat. It's already in the description for anyone who's watching this in the video on demand or VOD. So basically, if you're not watching this live, but I'll drop this in the live chat for anyone who's not seen this before. Somehow. Since that came out, it's been a huge turnaround for me. But because of that, I've made some decisions, like the new refit of the studio with the live streaming stuff. And I was saying to Chris before the stream, I've just ordered a new camera, which made me positively dizzy. It's not a red or anything stupid like that. I've ordered a Panasonic GH5S, which is a beautiful camera, and also a speed booster so I can use all my nice Canon lenses on it.
Yeah.
Because the Blackmagic camera that I've got is getting a bit long in the tooth. And at 4K, that Blackmagic camera can only store 1 hour of 4K footage on a 256 gig SSD. On the GH5, I believe I can get 10-bit 4K, the same amount on a 64 gig card.
Wow.
Yeah, because even though it's compressed in such a way that there's no real detail loss.
Yeah, I was going to say, is this the smart compression kind of?
Yeah,
thing?
it's kind of it's a way it's H.264, I believe, but done in such a way, it's such a high bit rate for H.264 that it's crystal clear. And and so it's a GH5S. I believe that the S is actually even better for video than the 5, which is why I got that one. But the thing that really spurred me on to get it, because I've been using the Blackmagic camera for years, and it looks great on camera, but I have to struggle with grading it sometimes, because that's the nature of that camera. Glenn Fricker, we did those Reaper videos that you may have seen on his channel last month. For that, you edited one of them, didn't you?
Yeah, me and Nick did. I think we did. We did.
Yeah, I think you did.
The lion's share, then passed them to you.
I did. I did like
busy.
That's right. I did like a final pass, but you did all the edits. But did you notice Glenn's camera didn't need any grading and it was sharp?
You know what? Nick mentioned it. She saw it and went, "Wow, that looks really, really good."
Yeah, that's a GH5.
That's the GH5.
Yeah,
right.
Which is why when I saw that, I went, "Yeah, I'm getting one of these."
Yeah. Oh yeah, it looks brilliant. I didn't realize that's near enough raw kind of thing. I did not.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
File size and that, I thought it was just like, all right, that's just kind of processed, a bit of a proxy kind of thing. That's just really nice. But wow, okay.
And that was the footage straight off that camera. No grading, no nothing. He literally just filmed it, sent me the file.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that's what convinced me, is like, if I don't have to put any more work in with color grading for the YouTube stuff, if it just looks right, great. So that's the kind of thing where I thought, you know what, because then I'm using an iPhone right now as my main camera for the podcast, but if I can put my GH5 and just plonk it there on the and get a capture card and just go, and then pick it up, take it to the studio, film, and I've also ordered a gimbal. I've ordered a DJI Ronin. Yeah. Ronin SC, which is like a little light year ahead of anything, because I've always been trained in how to do like pans and tilts and stuff with just a manual video head tripod. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having this tracking technology on a gimbal where I can do like pans across products. And being the techie person that I am, there's an add-on for it which I got, where you put a phone on top of it, and the phone separately from your actual camera tracks an object. And I believe it can actually pull focus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's like a motor arm that you put a ring, like if you've got a lens that doesn't already have a ring, and a lot of our prime lenses already have like cog rings on them, it can pull focus. So as you move the camera, even with an f-stop of something ridiculous, it can just pull focus. So I can just get a really nice product in the studio, get the lighting right, and just hold the camera on a gimbal and just do that. And it'll just pan.
Yeah.
And with it being like, it's got 5-axis stabilization in the camera, and it's going to be on a gimbal. I've never known such luxury.
No.
Like, I'm used to using prime lenses that have 0 stabilization on bodies that have 0 stabilization. So exactly. I'm just going to be reading a book whilst doing my pans now. Yeah. And so,
crazy.
yeah, for me, it's going to be relative luxury, because like I'm used to having everything on manual, no help from anything, and oh my god, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple of feet of PVC tube, a drill, and some cheap rollers and a tripod, and you've got a dolly shot with a gimbal. Yeah, but I've got an 18-foot dolly.
We've been there.
Yeah,
we've done that.
I've genuinely got an 18-foot track dolly, but with a gimbal with a stabilization in. My God, that's going to be amazing.
I know.
I'm hoping beyond hope that this gimbal has like a tripod screw mount on the bottom, because if it does. I've got from NAMM this year. I've got a video monopod that's got feet.
Oh yeah.
So if I put the gimbal on the monopod, I can put it down and then still not have to hold the several kilos of weight whilst doing pans.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. But yeah, it's so much money and it's dizzying. And actually, to anyone who supported us on Patreon, a huge thank you, because it really helps us to do this and to take the camera stuff to the next level to keep up with the big boys.
Yeah.
And hopefully one day become one of the big boys. I mean, it's all a matter of perspective, because like we're not far off hitting 40,000 subscribers.
That's crazy.
Which is amazing. But my good friend Glenn has just hit 400,000, or is around there.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit there.
Yeah.
But
well, everyone starts somewhere.
Well, yeah. And so I'm only a couple of years behind Glenn in terms of production.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
Well, we were working together when we found the stupid musicians text.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, it's funny that I started watching Glenn's stuff in the first year of his YouTube channel. And we were already operating a professional camera unit for a media company.
Yeah.
So the first time I ever talked to Glenn in depth, we were supposed to be doing an interview for Reaper, and we talked for half an hour about cameras and lenses and diopters, and he's got a wonderful collection of anamorphic lenses. I love anamorphic, and because he's been a camera nerd forever.
Oh, right.
Yeah, like it's not what he talks about on the channel because it's off topic, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
I love anamorphic lenses. If you ever pull focus on an anamorphic lens, the whole screen goes and kind of slightly pulls. I just really like that. I've always wanted to work in anamorphic, but I just haven't been able to afford the lenses because they're just so much more expensive. Unless you get some of the knockoff stuff, or you find a way to strap a projector anamorphic adapter on top of a normal lens.
Yeah, exactly. But that kills the magic.
Yeah, or it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to now. Like with the Blackmagic camera that we have, the native ISO was 400. If you wanted to do anything cool, you got lots of light. And if you put anything like an anamorphic adapter on the end, that'd make it all darker because it's more glass.
Yeah.
The GH5S has 2 native ISOs, and one of them is 2500.
Oh.
Native.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's got like different gain settings that it uses on the sensor somehow. But if you stop up to 1600 ISO, it's a bit noisy. You go up to 2500, the noise goes.
Oh, because it's the next one kicking in, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. It steps up. It changes the voltage on the sensor. It does magic.
Weird.
Yeah, which wasn't a thing in the old cameras that we used, because we learned on like Canon 5D Mark II, you know, the original video DSLR. And yeah, it really has moved on fast.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I've got a Panasonic Lumix kit lens somewhere to use with the GH5, but like I said, I've ordered this speed booster thing because we've got a really nice set of Canon prime lenses. Prime lenses, for anyone who doesn't know, are ones that don't zoom in and out. They just do one thing, but they do it really well.
Yeah.
Like they can practically see in the dark. You get that really shallow depth of field.
Yeah, f-stops are ridiculous with primes.
Yeah, comparatively, without the cost being silly. You can get zoom lenses that do the same thing, but you add at least 1 0 on the end in terms of cost.
Right.
It's like there are some really nice lenses from Zeiss and Panasonic, actually, who do like really nice zoom lenses, but you're looking at £10,000 or dollars plus per lens. Yeah, it gets crazy at that point. But those are the kind of Hollywood lenses where you never buy them, you only ever hire them. Even as a multi-million-pound film studio, you just hire the kit you need because you're not going to buy it because that's stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely don't have that kind of money to throw about. But several years back, we did buy some prime lenses, which we have, which are really, really nice. And I've been using the 50mm lens as my main lens.
Yeah, I was going to say, people are probably seeing that more than they think.
Yeah, if you watch the Reaper 101 video, for example, which a lot of people have seen, at last count, 410,000 people have watched.
Wow.
Oh my God. Wow.
And you've updated it since.
Well, that's the new version. The old version only had 250,000 views on.
Oh, right.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, that's insane. Not complaining. But yeah, that was all shot with a Zeiss 50mm lens. But it was shot on the Blackmagic, which is a Super 35mm, which means that to get me and the mixing desk and everything in shot, the camera's so far back, I've had to prop the door open and actually put the camera in the doorway. But the other lenses just didn't have that look.
Yeah.
And that's why I thought with the GH5S, I like that lens, but with a standard adapter to get that on, I would have to be putting the camera in the live room, like that far back, and then just kind of lean my head around the door and go, hello. But with the speed booster, hopefully it can actually be even closer than the Blackmagic, so I can actually shut the door whilst filming. Which will be convenient.
Yes.
But I'll also be able to use the other lenses as well, and in the future, especially for vlogging and stuff, I'll be able to put a much more run-of-the-mill lens on it that's got autofocus and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because all the prime lenses that we have don't do autofocus at all. No, you go behind the camera, you set up your focus, and then that's it. You're done. So you see all these YouTubers who've got these like really shallow depth of fields, and they lean forward and it focuses, and they lean back and it focuses. I ain't got that. I do not have that. What I have is I put something in the chair where I'm going to sit. I go behind the camera and I get it absolutely pixel perfect, because if I don't, I'm out of focus here and I'm out of focus here.
Yeah.
So I sit stock still in the videos. If you've ever noticed, that's what I do. It's because I have to. If I start sitting too far forward or too far back, I'm a soft, fuzzy mess.
Yeah, everyone thinks you're being awkward, but you're actually just trying to give the best quality video.
Yeah. I am also slightly awkward, but that's
we know
by the by. Yeah.
It's because you're thinking about that depth of field constantly as well.
Yes.
You're like, can't move.
Yeah, you'll sometimes notice me like looking off camera, and it's things like if there's a second camera, checking that's still rolling, or checking that the microphone hasn't fallen down from just above me and start to drop into frame. And yeah, oh God, there's so much goes into it, but I'm trying to riff and freewheel in front of the camera whilst also being camera up, sound up, and boy. Because I don't think like your average YouTuber, because my focus before doing the content was the technical side. So in my mind, that came first for a long time. I'm still kind of working my way towards that. But with some of this new equipment that I'm getting, and again, thank you everybody for your massive support. With everybody's support, I'm having more equipment that is more reliable and that I can take my mind off it once it's set. And yeah, it's really interesting the way that I'm setting up the live stream now. The studio live stream, not this live stream, but I don't know how much I've told you about the plan.
I know quite a bit, but
yeah. So the final.
I don't know how much I'm allowed to know.
No, there's nothing secret about this, because it is the plan going forward. So I now have the streaming PC, which has 4 screens and looks ridiculous. One's for like the multi-camera preview, so I can see what's going on. One so I can actually mess around with OBS. But one is with another copy of Reaper.
Okay.
And so I'm controlling that copy of Reaper from the main studio PC But I'm only controlling stop, start, and record. I don't actually want to record any audio on the streaming PC. So all the channels are going to be set to monitor only, so they don't actually record any audio.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be trying to do some sort of in-depth video about this and how I'm achieving it. But I'm using the Restream plugin to send the mix audio over to the streaming computer. But then I'm going to have a mic like this at the desk, I think. And if I don't, I'm going to be having, at the very least, at the very least, like a clip-on mic. Because I've got my Line 6 G90, which works perfectly well with a vocal mic, like a clip-on mic. So, and it also works as far away as the vocal booth. So I can go and set things up while still talking to the audience. But I'm going to have a camera pointed at the mix console, a camera pointed at the general control room, so all the sofas and everything.
Yeah.
Another camera in the live room, so you can see the band if there's a band tracking. And another camera in the vocal booth. So if I've got a singer in, I can keep switching between me and the singer. And the idea with the stop-start controlling the other computer is there's a plugin called Mute-O-Matic, which I've used a few times.
Yeah.
And what that's going to do remotely is whenever I hit play or record on the audio, it's going to kill the mics.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So you'll be able to just hear the mix without any bleed from the speakers or people chatting or anything like that. And then when I hit stop, all the mics come back on, including, I think I might have a room microphone in the control room that's really heavily compressed when I'm tracking a band. So if they talk, I can hear them, the stream can hear them. And that way, it's going to be quite noisy, but it's going to be an effective way that everybody can be heard. But then as soon as we actually are tracking, that all gets killed without me having to lean over and press any buttons. It's all automated. So I don't need a second op on sound.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's the idea. And I had to set up OSC in such a way that it only sends stop, play, and record. Because I found that if I just left it on default, if I moved any faders in my mix, it would start moving the faders on the other computer.
Yeah.
And that meant that all the levels would suddenly, without me meaning them to, would go all screwy.
Yeah.
But there's a way with OSC to define only the parameters you want.
Yeah. So you can disable what you don't want. It's curating it to the situation.
So yeah, there's a default configuration file for OSC, and if you just delete everything out of it that you don't need, only the things that are left will be controlled.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that worked.
Awesome.
But yeah, it's all coming together bit by bit, and eventually it's going to be there. I mean, this is the perfect time to do it with everyone being locked down and not really supposed to have anyone in there, because right now we've not had anyone in there for the longest time. Which is fine because of the rebuild process, the YouTube thing. Going forward, we're going to need to have artists and bands in there to keep it fresh, to keep it interesting. But right now is not the time, which means that development, this is the perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, there's an artist that I might be working with soon, which came about completely out of the blue. You know Adam Neely?
Yeah.
Yeah, world professional bassist. Not him, but he's the start of the story.
Okay.
So
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah,
You've not told me this.
No. So every week or two, Adam Neely does a video where he critiques people's performances. I don't know if you've seen any of those videos where people send him performances and he will analyze it and say like, well, you're playing too many notes here, or whatever it is, constructive feedback that he can give.
Right.
And so I watch them because it's interesting as a kind of an interesting what not to do. Sometimes it's talking about overplaying. Sometimes it's talking about tonality, rhythm, whatever it is for each individual person or band that sends their stuff in. And there's this one girl that comes on, and she's kind of roughly playing a guitar. She looks young, starts singing, interesting voice. Then a loop of what's like drum and bass, but it's her hitting a book and flicking this book comes on. Then she does like a 6-part vocal harmony, and suddenly my jaw just goes, whoa. And this girl's called Erin Snape, and she does this like full 3-minute video, and even Adam Neely's like, I can't improve on this. This is a thing. And her accent told me that she was English.
Yeah.
So I found her on Facebook, a girl called Erin Snape, and I sent her a message saying like, hey, I really like that video. I'm based in Manchester. This is who I am and what I do. If you, because I gather she was 16, so it's like if you and parents, guardian, whatever, want to come up one day after lockdown, blah, 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 it'd be really interesting to have you in the studio, talk about how you came up with this, what we can do to work on. And she got back to me and said, yeah, let's do it. So
Sweet.
There's
Awesome.
no fixed date yet, but due to Adam Neely's interesting videos, I'm going to be working with a girl who strikes me as potentially like the next Newton Faulkner.
Wow.
So yeah, it's the kind of thing where I thought, you know what, with a talent like this, I need to get in on the ground floor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if I can be a part of working with a talent like that, if she skyrockets off, I can then say, well, I helped.
Yeah. You're part of the story.
Yes, absolutely. And so the idea is record a couple of songs, but also talk about how far she's come, how she's done what she's done. Because it wasn't just multi-track sound, it was all the video as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as a 16-year-old, I could never have done that. I mean, it was different times. That was about 300 years ago, but that's what it feels like. Yes. Oh yeah, Marty's got a point. Get the old iPads out and get another wireless router and put the monitor levels on for the band for those. Yes, that is something I've done in the past and probably will be doing in the future. Because I do have at least 4 discrete headphone outs now for the band with their own separate discrete mixes. And using Reaper, I have a technique where they can log in to the Reaper computer and actually change their own levels.
Yeah.
Which is great. And that's something where I can show that off in a separate video and be like, hey, watch the drummer turn up the snare to 9 million. Turn the click up and up and up and up until you see that little red bit coming out down there on the camera. That's blood.
Watch the guitarist mute the bass player.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's going to be a great year, but there's just so much that's kind of, I'm spinning so many plates now trying to make it all work. And Project X and also Project Y are coming up and holding up a lot of the schedule. But by the end of August, all of that will be done. And so we will hit the ground running for the next school year and start educating people. And so it's going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Al says, Adam, you don't sleep much, do you? I probably figure out a lot of stuff when you sleep. You know what? I probably do.
It's the moment you're about to sleep and you go, that's it. And then you're up for the next 4 hours.
Chris knows me far too well. It's like, yeah, 11:30, good time to go to bed. Lies down. Brain goes, hey, you could multi-route this to go to 5 different destinations. Bing! No! Yeah. No, I genuinely have learned how to sleep better over the last few years, because if I didn't, I would go screaming mad insane. But from about 20 minutes after I wake up, so that's kind of coffee time, my brain is then off and active, and yeah, it's not wrong. But yeah, that first 20 minutes of the day, I am an extra from Shaun of the Dead. But yes, otherwise, yeah, my brain is far too active. I'm going to eat these 2 cherries out of my drink. But yeah, unless anyone else has any more questions for us. I think that's a good place to call it for this week's Hole Studios podcast. So thank you everybody for tuning in. It has been a lot of fun. We've had quite a few people tune in, which I am always grateful for. And this podcast, if you only caught a little bit of it, or you do a lot of listening to audio podcasts, is available on iTunes and Spotify. So if you just search for the Hop Pole podcast, you should find us. Funnily enough, I never actually updated the picture for that. It's actually a picture of the Funko Pop versions of you and me.
No way.
Yeah, I never updated that from the Hopcast.
Yeah.
So yes.
Wow.
Yeah. If you want to carry on the conversations, join our Discord server, which is always available, night or day. So I'm going to drop that in the chat again one more time. And if you want to support, if you want to support us on Patreon, like the British BBC,
Yes,
Alan Rickman can support. Then, yes,
that's Morgan Freeman, that one. So,
even so, they supported us on Patreon. Yes, check out our Patreon if you are interested in supporting us as a patron of the arts, because that kind of thing genuinely helps us to do these crazy things like setting up the studio to do these 8-hour live stream sessions or whatever it is. Because, my God, those are going to be epic. And yes, if not, I will be posting a video or two this week. I've got a video on Isotope Stutter Edit 2 that is ready to go, that will be going out rather soon. That's already available. I think it's already available on Patreon. If not, I'll drop it on there. I can't release it tonight to the public because YouTube does not like you releasing more than one video in a day. And get some eye drops. Nah, I'm alright. I just blink a lot. I have terrible allergies. I just live with that all the time. And that's derailed me a little. So yes, Patreon. Yeah. Patreon is what helps us to do these insane things. So yes, thank you everybody for your help, and I will see you in the next video. And if not, I'll see you back here at 8 p.m. Thursday next week for the next episode of the Hop Pole Podcast. Thank you everybody, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.